Welcome to the new episode of Building a Harmonious Family with Nevena Bajalac. And we are here once again interviewing amazing parents. And today we have a special topic. We're going to talk about blended family. We're going to talk what happens when you have to parent together, when you have to set different rules, and you have to be a role model as well for your children. So my guest is Maggie Perotin. She's coming to us from Toronto in Canada. And Maggie is a mother of actually four. They're a blended family, so she's parenting four children, and she's also a business and leadership coach. She supports a woman. So there is a lot that we can hear, and I'm sure a lot of tips that we can get from Maggie. So make sure to stay till the end of the episode and connect with us. So Maggie, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time and being here.
Thank you, Nevena. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited to talk to you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for waking up very early. I can see through your window that it's very dark in Canada, and I'm here in Dubai. I was just walking by the beach, and it's super sunny and nice. So I was like, I thought it's morning there. It's so dark.
It's definitely not as warm or sunny lately, so I'm jealous.
Yeah, but still beautiful place, Toronto. So Maggie, tell us a little bit more. Tell us about your family. Tell me about you, your husband. You have your two children, if I'm right, and then two of his children. So take us through your story and how was this parenting journey for you?
All right. So we live in Canada, but we are both immigrants from Europe. So originally I'm from Poland. My husband is actually French, from France, but we met, of course, in Canada. We are a blended family. So we have four kids, two boys from my husband's side that they don't live with us all the time. They come on a regular basis. They live close with their mom. They're almost 15 and 13 now. And then we have two kids of ours. So a girl who's 8 and a little boy who's 6. So I've known my step boys since they were very little, since they were about 3 and 2. They were 18 months apart. So, sometimes they look like twins, and since they were very little. So, our journey of, being together, then having just two little boys, and then having our own kids, it's been interesting sometimes, but sometimes challenging, but at the same time very rewarding. And the kids right now, they have a very good relationship together. Just like regular siblings who maybe don't see each other all the time.
That's like a perfect situation. Sometimes you just don't want your siblings all the time or share the room, or so they're like, let's meet for the weekend for the fun and so on.
Yeah. The little ones definitely look forward to seeing their big brothers for different reasons. Like the youngest boy like to tumble with them and, like do fights and so on. So get the energy out. So he's very looking forward when the big brothers come. And then, my daughter, it's different, but she also loves her brothers. So she always waits for them to come and visit us.
So I want to ask you, I think there is a lot of families in similar situation. And obviously when we get into and we start family, sometimes things don't work out. So parents separate and you have children, you're now co-parenting. But then, of course, like in this case, you want to rebuild, you meet the person, you want to have another family. So for you, I mean, we're going to speak from your perspective. What were the challenges that you had? Now you have their mother that you have to get along with or set certain rules. And also that relationship and that fear that maybe from her side, she doesn't want you to take over or, there's all of these thoughts that we have in our head. And also maybe for your husband was difficult. He now had to balance and he had you in his life. So what are the challenges you had and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So as you say, like all those challenges were there or, are still there, but maybe not to that extent. Definitely when the relationship starts, that new person in the dynamic is being me, right, is very challenging. Just because, like it's human nature, right? Like their mom was maybe worried that, and especially the kids were little, that maybe the kids will love me more than her, which is, not true. Our kids love us as parents the most in the world, but we do have those sometimes, insecurities or feelings. Um, so there was that pressure, whether said or not, on my husband, but also on the kids, whether voluntarily or not. And sometimes you could see that. So trying to balance that, like, one example, for example, how the kids should call me. Should they call me mom? Should they call me Maggie? And so on, right? And it's kind of little thing, but for me, it was always like sometimes they would ask me because their mom, of course, wasn't too happy if they were calling me mom. So they would ask me, and I said, like, it's up to you. Whatever you want to call me. You want to call me Maggie? You can call me Maggie. You want to call me mom? You're more than welcome. You want to call me stepmom? Whatever you pick. And leaving them from the very young age, that freedom, they decided. And sometimes it was situational. So in situations when we were both there, they would call me Maggie just to, kids know, right? They don't want to hurt their parents. I come from a family, my parents divorced when I was 11. I know what they feel. You don't want to hurt one parent by saying something about the other parent that might hurt them, right? So you avoid those situations. And then when would be only four of us before our kids were born, or even now when they are here, most of the time they call me mom without any. So like balancing, knowing, trying to put yourself in the other parent's shoe and what they might be going through, and always really putting kids' well-being at the forefront, not your own feelings, not what you think and so on, but putting their well-being at the forefront. That kind of was my guidance, right? Trying to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're not in the situation where they kind of have to choose because it's very difficult. It's almost impossible, right? And then kind of navigating that, which again, it can be challenging for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really a sign of emotional intelligence when we really step up our ego. And especially sometimes after divorce, as parents, as people, we get very hurt. And we forget that we need really to put the well-being of our children first. And that we need to move on. Sometimes we're not ready, right? So we see our partner moving on, and then we just feel like we are behind. But this is a sign, and where we have to grow as people, I believe. And it shows emotional intelligence, like you said, that you step back and you say, I have to really be here and be flexible and balanced because I want these children to be well and they feel comfortable. So that's beautiful. So what would you say to parents? Any advice who are in a similar situation, who maybe went through divorce, who want to start another family? What is something that you would tell them that can maybe help them?
Yeah, I would say, if the kids are old enough to talk to them, or even if they're little, there's ways to sort of start talking about and kind of introducing the concept, right, of a new family, because they actually know more than we think. They understand more than we give them credit to. So not involving them in the conversation, not trying to slowly introduce them. And that's what my husband did. Like he's very as well intuitive and always putting the kids, again, well-being ahead. So the way he was introducing me to their life and so on was very gradual, and we took it very well, but he was leading it really, really well. So, and kind of having conversations, even though there were conversation at that time with like a 2-year-old and 3-year-old, right? So of course, as kids are older, that conversation can be more in depth and so on. And understanding their feelings and really, paying attention, but also showing that, yeah, we all are our own human beings, right? And we all have our lives. And when we make choices to those lives, like it affects us, but at the same time, as I told you before, like I'm not a parent who spends whole day with our own kids or arranges every single minute of their life, because I believe, we have our kids for them, not for us. Yeah. They're their own human beings, and they will have their own life. And we need, I believe that I need to teach them how to function without me, not being dependent on me. right? So, but when you teach that and they also see you're doing that, yeah, you have the life, right? You're your own human being. You're not there only for them. You are there most of the time for them, but not only for them. And kind of talking that, I think it also teaches them life, right? It teaches them their own kind of independence, personality, and so on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So I want to ask you, what are some things I usually ask my guests this? What are some things that you discovered when you became a parent? So you have two of your own children,
Mm-hmm.
right? And although I
Mm-hmm.
believe parenting is a role, so like you said, you can be a mom and we can adopt, we can be a stepmom,
Yeah,
we can,
yeah,
the
totally.
role. Our grandma can be a mom to us in a way if they take that role, or
Agree.
auntie or uncle can be a
Mm-hmm.
father. So parenting is a role, but you having your own children, what was something about parenting that you feel like nobody told you before? I think this is very, everybody has a
It's
specific thing, but it's very powerful because I'm also always learning something new. And my listeners, like nobody prepares you for something. It can be a positive or a
no.
negative thing.
Yeah, it's definitely nobody. You can get prepared, right? So it's more difficult than we think, right? Like, because I don't, it's something, like I told, like, I'm a business coach, right? So sometimes I compare that. I tell my clients, is business a little bit like having a babies, right? We all have this idealistic view of having children and everything is so perfect and, and so on, but nobody tells us about challenges and sometimes hard situations that we get into it. And in the business is the same, right? Growing your business is not just a journey, filled with rose petals, right? There are challenges along the way. So it's the same with parenting. My children definitely taught me a lot of patience. My patience grew with having them. And I always say that that's probably the hardest job and teaches us a lot of leadership skills. So, I come from a corporate world where I've been managing and leading people for the past 14 years. And they are my kids, and including my step boys, taught me a lot of leadership and made me a better leader. And that's what I think we are as parents. We are leaders of our families, right? So yeah, that's one thing that I took out of parenting.
Yeah, I love it, and I love that perspective, and it's true. I always say we have this imagination, it's a blueprint, right? How we want our children to be,
Mm-hmm.
and when
Mm-hmm.
things don't go that way, we parents. This is what I work with parents a lot with on,
Mm-hmm.
is to help them really let go and overcome that expectations, and like, okay, how can you be happy and enjoy even if your children are not behaving in a certain way, or like
Mm-hmm.
reduce some expectations, and really the point of parenting and life in general is being happy, right? At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
we want to enjoy, but we just get stuck with all of these things and we want
Mm-hmm.
specific things, they don't go our way. But it's a journey. I think it's a journey.
Yeah.
And like you said, nobody can 100% prepare you, but at least here at this podcast, we share tips so people can, all hear different perspectives on parenting. So tell us now a little bit more about you and how do you support, you work mostly with women, you told me, and how do you support them in their business? I think a lot of listeners will benefit and would love to know as well.
Yeah, so I support female entrepreneurs, mostly service based, especially now, like a lot of there's online marketing and so on. So the way I coach, it's really holistic because I believe that there's three pillars that we need to have in our business. And when they're aligned, then our business grows the fastest. So the first pillar is your mindset, and that's self leadership. We enter the business and there's a lot of fears we need to overcome, right? Fears of selling, fears of failure, fear of shiny object syndrome and all those things, even our own accountability. So self-leadership, because when we're entrepreneurs, we're alone. There's no manager waiting for us saying like, hello, you got to do this, you got to do that. So that kind of self-motivation. Then the second pillar is the business skill. So marketing, sales, a bit of finance, branding, like branding, not from a web design or color part, but the substance behind it. Because again, we might be, nutritionists or life coaches or copywriters and so on, and we're expert in that. But to run your business, you need to have some business skills if you want it to run for more than 2 years and 10 and 20 and be successful and grow. And then the third part is time management and high performance. Because again, as women, we have families. Sometimes we have a part-time job. We have other things going on at schools. So, and it's all important, right? We're all holistic human beings, and we want to keep that in balance and not necessarily work 24/7, because we want to spend time with our families and so on. So maximizing the time you actually have for your business and making the most out of it, and structuring your days with routines that actually help you and serve you, as opposed to the ones that don't. That's also, I feel it's important. So that's kind of how I help female entrepreneurs grow their businesses.
So what is it? One advice that you would say to all the moms who maybe want to start a business and they're
Mhm.
moms, or they already started and running a business? What is maybe one advice specifically for mothers that you would tell them that can really help them scale and move faster?
So I would say definitely like focusing on that high performance, on we all have guilt in there, like, oh, I need to give up something, or I'm not enough with my kids because I want to grow the business and so on. If you actually develop good high performance habits, time management, and focus on the quality of time you spend with your kids as opposed to the quantity of time, you can do both. You can marry both, and you can grow your business and so on. And I went through my own kind of hard performance journey few years back. I always thought that I was very organized and I could accomplish a lot, but after I went through that, like right now, it's crazy what I can do and still have time for me, for my kids, for my business and so on. So sometimes we don't appreciate that actually you can, my clients sometimes double their income in a month just from focusing on their schedule and kind of developing good routines without anything in marketing added and so on. So we sometimes underestimate the power of that, of really utilizing our time in the best way possible.
I
So that would
absolutely agree.
be.
Focusing on those income producing activities that we
Yes.
say, because it's very easy
Yes,
to, oh, I have to do this and that, but really focusing, okay, what's the most important for me as a business
exactly.
owner to earn income? What are the income producing activities? And then the rest I can either delegate or do later, or it's not
Exactly.
priority.
Exactly. Yeah. Prioritization, knowing what you're going to do ahead of time rather than trying to figure it out in the moment, because that's a lot of time that goes.
Yeah.
Those are things that can help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us, Maggie, where people can reach to you, how they can work with you. If anybody listening would love to have you as a coach, or do you have any courses, or how do you work with people? And we will make sure to put the links for people to connect
Awesome.
with you in the description of this video, so they can also connect with you on social media and your website.
Well, that's great. So the name of my company is Stairway to Leadership. So I have a website, stairwaytoleadership.com. I'm on Instagram under Maggie Perotin, so my name. I also have a Facebook group, a free Facebook group for women entrepreneurs, and it's called Women Entrepreneurs with Passion for Life, because I do feel we have life and business is not the only thing. And how I work, I have two ways, either one-on-one or group coaching programs. So then, depending on the needs of the client, their budget and so on, I kind of suggest one or the other.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for all this wonderful advice and guidance as well on parenting, on building the family, and also business, and what are the things we have to focus and work on. I think it's really valuable. So it was
Thank you
pleasure
so much.
having you here. Yeah, it was pleasure having you here. I want to thank everyone for listening, tuning in. Make sure to download this episode, follow and connect with Maggie, and I will see you in the next one.